Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Foxxcast, and this is your reminder: a group of lawyers is called a murder. I'm going to talk about anchor babies for a little bit right now because I'm surprised to hear that people are talking about this again. I remember, back in 2012, I think the Louis Gohmerts of the world were, going crazy with, anchor babies, terror babies, they're coming to this country and they're taking advantage of our stuff, our awesomeness, and stuff like that. And I thought it was ridiculous, but apparently Trump brought up, and at some point the term became offensive. I'm not exactly sure when that happened. Disclosure for anyone who can't tell, I am a Mexican American. I'm like third generation, I think, so I'm not really act like it. I have an accent sometimes with certain words. I can pronounce it well. I don't speak Spanish, but I am 100% Mexican American, and I live in Texas, and I live in a border town. And I will just say that it doesn't seem to me like it's not that offensive because it is describing something. It's not something that actually exists, mind you, or at least not to the scale that I'm sure many of these paranoid people think, but it is something that happens or could conceivably happen, and ergo there's a word for it. To me, it's one of those offensive, eye-rolling terms. If I hear someone say it, with complete sincerity, I'll roll my eyes. I won't get, outraged, or I won't, get my, feelings emotionally hurt or whatever, but I'll just roll my eyes because I know that, oh my god, this guy's an idiot. And, Donald Trump, he's running for president. Who'd have thunk? Started using it, and Donald Trump, from the beginning, you knew this campaign was just going to be a little bit messed up because he's just not obeying the rules of conventional Beltway wisdom at all, and he's just pissing off pretty much everybody. But it's a little bit of refreshingness in it. I've said before that the same reason that people support Donald Trump are the same reason that people become Scientologists. And that's still my position, I believe. Now, apparently, Jeb Bush, who was supposed to be, the establishment, the sane one, has, started going off, anchor babies. And again, some people find that offensive. I don't find it particularly offensive, but, I get annoyed when people use it, I guess. And then, he did the same thing pretty much he did when, they asked him about Iraq. He gave, 17 different answers to a yes or no question, and it's just, reflecting poorly. Regardless of what you think about Jeb Bush, and to be honest, I don't think very highly of him, he's just running a pretty terrible campaign by and large. He doesn't just seem like he wants to be president at all, at least, not in Beltway seriousness. And then, he's going. And then I think, Scott Walker, came up saying, we need, anchor babies are bad. And it's not just that. These are people talking about, repealing the 14th Amendment, which is, the 14th Amendment, which does grant birthright citizenship. I think there's a Latin word for jus soil. I like using that because, it's Latin. And, it's gaining traction, which is weird. These people are, repealing a big part of the Constitution. Let the children of slaves, as well as slaves themselves, become U.S. citizens after, Dred Scott said they couldn't be. And, we have, records from some of the senators who drafted the bill saying that, yes, this would and should apply to children of immigrants. And it's baffling to me how, much traction this is getting. Scott Walker, said he's in favor of, re-examining, quote-unquote, it, although he sort of gave the whole, I was drunk defense, I think, as of today. Bobby Jindal, who, is a child of immigrants, did say, we gotta change it, we gotta fix it. What else? I think Chris Christie did it. I think Rand Paul did, a little bit on that. I was watching CNN today, and, Rick Santorum came up and just said, need to do this, repeal it. And I was at the gym, I was on the elliptical, I was watching CNN, he came on, and every time every word that came out of his mouth, I just fucking groaned. It was stupid. Oh my god. It just got worse. It's there's no constitutionality in giving children of illegal immigrant citizenship status. It's not black and white. It's not the riddle. The Hodgkin's theory. It says it right there. And even Trump said the 14th Amendment to the Constitution is unconstitutional, which is just, fucking insane. the way he is. And I think, Ted Cruz, he came across this, and he really pisses me off because he was born in Canada. I mean, his mother was a U.S. citizen, so obviously, he's naturalized. But oh my God, he does not understand? Coming from Canada is different than coming in from Mexico. Not that I think that's entirely unwarranted. When Canada becomes a rancid hellhole of narco-terrorism, and then they're treated favorably, then I'll complain about racism or whatever. But by and large, it is just like, oh my God. And Ted Cruz has always been crazy. Like I said, I'm from Texas, so he's my senator. And it's just like, I mean, and it's clear at this point, he's trying to, rack up the Donald Trump sort of anti-establishment vote for when, Donald Trump inevitably implodes, when the campaign, inevitably implodes upon itself and it stops working. Although, as time goes on, it's becoming more obvious that that's really less likely to happen. And, yeah, and I forgot what I was going to say. So yeah, it's like he's going after that vote, and it's just pushing him over the edge. And Ted Cruz, he's probably the most far right guy in the Senate. So it's not like he has very far to go, or that this is too out of character for him. And I just wish that on this issue, some of the people in the party would be more sane, or realize hey, this is gonna really hurt us in the general election. Romney got like 28% of the Latino vote. That was like a record low, and this rhetoric is even worse than in 2012 because they're talking about changing the Constitution and the 14th Amendment. People have talked about changing it before for like China scare. And actually, that reminds me, I read something about some people were defending it, saying, it's not just Mexicans. No one's saying it's Mexicans. There's this, Chinese birth tourism, which I looked it up. It's pretty messed up. Basically, what it is that, people from China are coming into America to give birth, mostly to circumvent China's one-child policy, and, have, better children, and have more children who can have better lives, and, citizenships and stuff. That's roughly Anchor Baby, probably. Like I said, there's no other word for it. It's not like it's replacing a thing that actually exists, but in a sense, it's kind of like the welfare queen. It's, not something that exists, or at least not on a grand scale, and, it's being popped up as this boogeyman. Before I change topics, I just want to say that, Ben Carson, I think, said recently, in an interview with a local television station in Iowa, that he thinks he's open to using drone strikes on the border. And, that scares the shit out of me because, I live at the border and I don't want drones coming into my house, which, made me think about, what my current policy on drone positions is. I don't know. I'm conflicted about it, but I just want to say, I doubt, he sincerely means that, but it's been a couple days and, he hasn't, said anything about it. So for now, I will assume that, Ben Carson thinks we can deploy drones to, kill people at the border because, why not? Why not? Earlier today, I had a doctor's appointment in the city, so I decided, I might as well stop by Best Buy. I like Best Buy. They've got a lot of electronic stuff, and it's a good ambiance, and it's a good atmosphere. Recently, we moved some of the furniture around in my room, and now the television in my room, it's a small television. I'd say like 20 inches. I'm looking at it right now. It's on like a little nightstand thing. It's become much more accessible, so I figured I'll buy one of those, Chromecast sticks, and I'll plug it into the, HDMI port in the television. By the way, I tried it, I don't like it. It doesn't, come with its own remote, which is a bit of a deal breaker in itself, but it's also, like, confusing to use, because, like, you gotta have your iPad, so like, what if I want to watch it and use the iPad, and, I gotta stop, rewind it, and then I just gotta, change apps, and it's weird, and not worth it. Next time I'm in the city, I'm going to I'm going to return the Chromecast stick, and I'm going to get instead a Amazon Fire Stick. That comes with the remote, and it should give me everything I'm looking for anyway. But yeah, while I was there, I got a little mesmerized because I like walking around, and I saw these like 4K televisions. It's like Samsung UHD TV. And like I read about 4K, which is supposed to be like a lot of pixels, and it's supposed to be like really good resolution. And I was just looking at it, and they just did a thing where, like, they had a bunch of like bars raising up, like, that's what is almost Windows Media Player default visualizations. And it was just beautiful, watching, all the different little perspective colors. I have 20/20 vision, so that really helped better. And just looking at it, watching all the stage, and the televisions were curved, and that was weird. And the first thing I thought was, one day I'm gonna become so rich I'll buy a curved television, and I think that's probably gonna be my new standard for success, or at the very least financial upper middle classness. I don't know what I can hope for. And it was just like, I was just looking at it, and like, I know, because like I read a while ago that 4K television, at a certain point our eyes aren't able to process so much, but our eyes are powerful things. I was looking at it online, and like, I'm seeing the things right now, and apparently obviously depending on the size of the TV, you'd have to stand within a couple of feet of the 4K television in order to tell the difference between that and a 1080p. Now, obviously, when you're looking at TVs at Best Buy, you're standing a lot closer to it than you normally would. So, I was up close there, and I was seeing, like, hey, look at this stuff. This is pretty cool, format, especially compared to the other HD TVs I saw. But, like, when you have a computer, when you have a television in your house, you're usually a lot farther away from it than you are looking at it in the store. Like, right now, the television in our living room, and we have this, at our living room, we have this, like, big old CRT television. It probably weighs more than I do. It's, huge and old. I think it's, like, JVC. But I didn't know they make televisions in the 21st century, so I mean, it's a little old. Yeah, we're in it, and I have to guess we probably sit like 10 or 8 feet from it, which is pretty far, and you need a big 4K television in order to sort of see the difference there. And not to mention, it's gonna take a while for the UHD, which I'm gonna say, I guess, ultra high def, the content, because not everything is made, and how is HD, or like, God forbid, SD content gonna look like in 4K televisions? If there's a smart TV, I'm probably gonna watch YouTube on it, and if I'm gonna watch YouTube on it, I'm gonna watch some old videos in 360p or 240p, because that's just the kind of entertainment I like to partake in, and it is just it's a while, so it's probably not like, it's one of those things that's deliberately designed, I think, to be a status symbol. It's not something that you need, or it's not even very practical, but it's something that you can have, you can point at and tell, look at me, I could afford this, the $3,000 television, and it looks good, and it will look good. But I have to imagine that curved television would probably look pretty weird if you weren't, in the exact, apex of the cone. Like, if you're not sitting, directly in front of it. If you're a little bit off to the side, then it's probably going to be a little bit of a pain to look at. But, yeah, and, and that is, just, and I think that's, pretty neat. And obviously it worked. I mean, how I want it. My first thought was, I would like to buy this television one day. I want to have enough money to say, I can buy this, where, I won't put myself in severe financial jeopardy. So, yes, Samsung wins. Samsung has one, and apparently they're producing a 8K television, which I don't even know what that's gonna look like. I'm worried that, we've taken a resolution as far as we can go with it, and, I guess it's mostly just a feature to see, how many features you can cram into a television. Because televisions are pretty good at, what they're doing, which is, I guess, displaying content. And, and, after that, you just need new innovations. Like, hey, you can watch Netflix straight from this television. You can watch Hulu. You can look up the guide and stuff, which is good, because now, we don't have cable or satellite in my house, so, I just watch the TV using the rabbit ears, which is why I bought the Chromecast stick, because, you can only go through, I guess, so many, 9 p.m. reruns of 2.5 Men before you just want to throw your TV out the window and, curse Hollywood to hell. And, so then I bought the stick. Obviously, I'm going to replace it with the Amazon Fire thing, but I'm definitely going to look at, 4K televisions, because, oh my god, those things are fucking crazy to look at. And I guess that's all I have to say, and just remember, You can change out the words in university to spell River City, and that is what San Antonio, Texas is called later.